Melody is back. I think as the night's going on, my hair's looking more. Hello, Mel. How are you?
Hello again. I'm good.
Good. Am I looking tighter than I did?
You must be exhausted.
Yeah, I think my eyes are starting to go a little bit small.
That's just my cheap up.
So,
Yeah.
your solution to your internet, Adrian, is to just go to Stewart's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just was not working.
I'm surprised you asked that. You reckon that dog's going to pop that balloon?
Yep, and put itself.
That's awesome. If there's shot fired in this house, it's not us. It's
Okay.
the dog popping a balloon.
And finding himself in the reflection of a mirror.
Is that your puppy, Adrian?
Yes. I made the mistake of getting in the car to try to see if I can get 4G with the dog.
Oh.
He's been pleasant company in the middle of a clean out. That's why my bin's all with all the shelves and
Gotcha.
Kyra's bought his bookshelf from downstairs and yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hi Joe, how are you?
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. Hey, Ash.
Ash, your nostrils are looking sensational.
Yeah.
I'll try to fix that up, mate.
All right, it's 6:30. We'll wait one more minute because there's not a lot of you here yet. So I'll just check if is that Kelly. Is it Kelly? Can you hear us? Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Okay, I'll put you back on mute. Sorry.
All right.
Some people like being on mute.
Someone's dinging. Is that a microwave?
No, it's my phone. I'm turning it off.
No worries. Okay, we might get started because it's not 6:31 and we're under a bit of pressure. What I will do to make it easier for us is I will put you on mute in a moment because we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers, but it works easier if I can there's the dog, pop the balloon. I'm going to put you on mute, which will and then you can actually go on, if you have any questions, you can actually go on to the left-hand side of the screen by either tapping on your smart device or you can just wave at me and I'll take you off mute. Yep, so if you tap on your smart device, look down to the left-hand side, you'll see that the mute button is there. Let me just get started. All right, so you'll see now that we've got a screen that says team meeting. If you can see that, just give us a thumbs up so we know. Excellent. And for those people that I can't see on the screen, if you put a thumbs down, you're just going to have to live with it. But having said that, these meetings are recorded and we'll put them up on your group Facebook page so that you can see what we've talked about and hear the dulcet tones of Adrian Elms. So we are going to be looking at, in the next half hour or 25 minutes, because we've got to finish before 7 o'clock, we're going to be looking at 3 areas. We're going to be looking back, and that's where Ash is going to be giving a bit of an update on the season so far. He's at an advantage because he sat through the last 3 meetings. He's heard what all the other coaches said, so he'll probably steal some of their thoughts and ideas and then have the best speech you've ever heard a coach give in a Zoom meeting on a Wednesday night. Then we're going to have talk about looking forward. Adrian's going to give us an update on the process for recruitment and retention. We're going to talk about the coaches for 2019, pre-season training and games. We're going to talk about fees, the Buccaneers Academy, and then what's important now. So that's the questions and answers that players and parents will have that have either generated from your own interest or from the season or from something that's said tonight. So I will now take Ash, hopefully I'll take Ash off mute, or he knows how to do it anyway because he's been driving his for the last. You got it, Ash? Yep.
I'm done, yeah.
So, Ash, if you could just give us an update on what's the season been like and some of your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. It's been a tough but rewarding season for this team. Player retention at the start was pretty poor, but what we've got this season, the lads have really worked hard, and it is a hard job to try and get up to that next level. So I'm very happy to be part of that, or part of this team for this year in the inaugural season for the Buccaneers. It's been really, really good. Training-wise, everyone's got the same drama. It's nice to have at least 2 sessions a week, but together. But it has been hard, and Stewie will talk later on in the process regarding what we're looking at for next season. Games. We have improved out of sight. If you can remember the start of the season, we were getting hammered all the time. And these boys have been working really, really hard with the minimal training we have had. And we finally got their first win, a couple of draws and a couple of 2-1s and 2-0 last week down. That's very good improvement. I'm very happy with that. For a bunch of under 15s and 16s, half and half roughly, that's a great job. Players never give up. The spirit is fantastic. And boys, they sing themselves a few team songs, even if they get beat. It's just really good to see the camaraderie they have amongst themselves. It's fantastic. Parents, I'd like to thank the parents for all their support for their lads, bring them to training, to games, the long travel, and the support you've given myself as a coach as well. I really appreciate that. Travel, I won't talk too much on that because the club's working out what we can do with travel next year to do with hydration, fatigue and all that. But besides all that, I think the team's coming along real well, and those that stay on will have a good season next year. Well, thanks for that.
I forgot I was muted. So thanks for that. Thanks for that, Ash. We will come back to questions from players and parents. If you've got a question for Ash in relation to anything he said or any other issue, we'll jump straight into the presentation from Adrian, so we can get through the presentation, and at the end we'll ask some questions. So I'll hand it over to Adrian.
So the process for selecting players for next year, we've decided to go with a model where we're going to wait for the season to complete completely, and that's including finals, and then take a break during the September holidays. And in October, we're going to be sending out every player a letter. One letter will be, we would like you to come back to the Buccaneers, such and such a team, in 2019, if you accept that offer, can you please sign here and send it back? Or another letter will be saying, we would like to invite you to our trials, which are going to be held in October on this weekend, and this weekend. And they will be joined with some of the community players that have expressed an interest in trying to join the Buccaneers for next year. The plan is in November, we release the team announcements for every team, and then December, January, we have our Christmas break and get into training early in the new year. There was a couple of people that queried whether we could start earlier with regards to pre-season training. I'm not going to say no to that. It'll be done on a team-by-team basis. So if there's only 2 players away from during the Christmas holidays and that particular individual coach wants to start early, that'll be fine as well. So that's the plan, and everyone will get a letter to either say you're invited back or we would like you to trial. Am I missing anything?
No, you covered it all.
Okay, excellent.
Yep. So I'm sure you may have questions on that, but we'll keep going and talk about our coaches.
So the coaching lineup for 2019, we are going to be moving Andre into the under-13s. We think he's a personality and the type of coach he is a good fit for that age group. Connor's going to continue with his baby bucks and move with them into the 14s. We're going to move Ash into the under 15s role. And then the 16s onwards is yet to be completely determined, but we will have access to Dale Paxton.
Yeah.
Dale Paxton and also Peter Guest are going to be coaching in those age groups. So the 20s and the men's are still being advertised. So we don't have a spot an announcement for those particular positions as yet.
So currently, 16s and 18s will be coached by Dale and Peter until we make it determined one way or the other.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. Pre-season?
Yep. So the trials, as I mentioned earlier, are going to be carried out during October. We're doing a little bit, we're trying to do it as early as we can just to keep out of the heat. And during November, as I said, we'll announce the teams. December, you have a break. Let all those niggling injuries and spend a bit of family time. And January, I know a lot of people are away during school holidays, but we'll start pre-season as soon as we can in the new year. And then during that break, I will be organising pre-season friendlies for all of our juniors and our seniors so that we have a good start to the year with some competitive friendlies. I'm more than happy to let you know that I'm trying to make it so that we don't travel that much for our pre-season training. So what we might look at is playing teams that were strong in 2018 and a year above. So that it's competitive. But I'll send more of that out as time goes.
The other thing I probably should mention now about trials, because I think it relates to the under 16s, current under 16s more than any other age group. And that is, we talked about before about you will either get a letter of offer or you will receive an invitation to return to trials. For the process to be effective, if you are an underage player playing in under 16s currently, so if you're an under 15s player, you will automatically get an invitation to return back to trials. That's got nothing to do with your ability. It's simply got to do with the fact is that we want the coach to be able to work with those players and to get to know them through that process. So if, for example, those under 15 players currently, it's not a reflection on your skill, but we would like to consider you first for your proper age group before you're given the option to go and trial. So you'll still be open if you don't succeed in your under 16s next year to be considered for under 18s. But in the first instance, we want you to trial for your appropriate age group, and that's why you will get automatically you'll be asked to come back to trials. If you get a letter, say if you're currently under 16s going into under 18s and you get a letter of offer, you do not come to trials. It's simple as that. You will not come to trials. You can do your own training, do your own thing, and then return for pre-season. The other information is a bit of general information. The fee structure, we'll see an increase in fees. We really tried to keep the fees low. We worked on a shoestring budget and went around begging for money, I think, for the year. This year alone, our fee to Football Queensland, including our travel fee, we pay Football Queensland $10,000 for a travel fee. We pay Football Queensland $48,000 to be involved in the competition. That's $58,000. And that was the $10,000 was to cover every club in NPL and QPL would put into a fund, and then that fund would be used to pay travelling teams, pay their travel. The travelling teams are everyone north of Bundaberg by definition of Football Queensland, which means that we are the only travelling team that has to not only pay the levy, but also pay for the travel ourselves. The travel, as we currently sit for the buses, is $58,000. It'll end up being $60,000 by the end of the season. That is an incredible cost, but it's one that we have to provide travel for our players, because I can't sleep at night knowing that players are driving up and down the highway. So we do try and provide that service, but it comes at a cost. So fees will probably end up going up to about $1,200 this year. My understanding is that next year there won't be a single club other than us that is under $2,000 for QPL or NPL. So we are still, we have effectively $68,000 more costs in our travel than any other club. Yet we are one of the lowest, and that's because we really try to cut as many costs. Adrian's fee, Ash's fee, all that. We just cut all that, get rid of all that unimportant stuff, and really just focus on the players. So I guess that's a big thing, is an increase in fees. But at the same time, we've entered an agreement with Debit Success, and if you get a letter of offer either before trials or after trials, you'll receive a note with a form that you can enter into a 3-month or a 6-month or a 9-month payment plan that'll assist you in paying that amount. We'll still have our player sponsor programs where a business can sponsor you. The big difference with that next year is that this year we had it at $750, with $250 going to the club and $500 going to a player. This year, effectively 100% of the money you get from a sponsor, you'll receive for your to pay off your fees. The only amount that we'll ask for is about $25 to pay for the actual cost of putting the logo on. The other difference is if you go to a business and you ask them for money and they want to give you $200 as opposed to $750, take the money. We'll put the name on the shirt. We just want to do whatever we can to make sure, as a player, you have the opportunity to reduce your fees. So we're working really hard to try and alleviate the cost through payment plans and also through sponsorships. Uniforms, it's my belief that we should be looking at new uniforms because we'll always be changing players, and some uniforms will look old. I see that one of the under-16s washed their socks in bleach, it looks like, and they got one pink sock. That's great. So it's important that we keep changing those over as well. Uniforms will change this year, not only in design, but in the way we number them. No player will have the same number as another player other than the keepers. So we'll, rather than number teams 1 through to 16, that will be our senior team, but all the other teams will have 17 through to 99. So that if an under-16s player, for example, or an under-18s player wants to play up in the 20s, they can wear their strip, and they will be not like any other team. And we won't be in a position, any other player, and we won't be in a position where we actually we put the a piece of tape on the shirt to make the number 7 into 117 or something like that. So I guess that's a big difference. The other thing is we're looking at the Buccaneers Academy, and you'll hear more from Adrian about this in the future. But each age group other than the under-18s, so under 13s through to 16s, will have 4 players attached to it from community clubs that will support their teams. And also players in the under-18s will be able to rely on some community players as well through an agreement with Football Queensland. But currently, you'll see the Buccaneers Academy envelop the SAP program and also a group of community players, 4 in each. So you'll have your 16 squad plus your 4 community players. Those 4 community players will make up the Bucks Academy, and they will get support from the Buccaneers through our existing coaches to really develop them and to give them every opportunity to progress in their football and hopefully come into the Buccaneers family. So that gives us, we're now up to questions from players. I see Peter's here. G'day, Peter. How you going? So what we might do is we'll go back to the first slide that we were at, which was Ash's update. if you want to take your phones off mute now, so that way if you've got any questions, you can, or if you want to say no, so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. I'll ask if you've got any questions on this. If you don't, I'll move on to the next slide. So let's start with coach update. Do you have any questions? Right, we'll move on to the next one. So this is probably the biggest difference. The offers to return to play or invitation to trial. They're the two, I guess, pathways that, or letters that players will get. Does anyone have any questions about this process or any concerns that want to raise now? Nope. Okay. You've asked less questions in the this was how this was how this slide looked an hour ago. And as we said, there's been some changes, and the big change will be that Peter Guest and Dale Paxson will be working together with the 16s and 18s, and then we will we'll announce sort of more detail around that, I guess, in the coming months, how that's going to work. But effectively, Dale and Peter are effectively at the moment, because both of them were in those age groups last year,